call that radio? You call that radio TV? No. You call that radio TV?
This is You Call That Radio.
This is You Call That Radio TV. Tonight on the show we have Dead Sheeran, who's just recently announced his number 3 Louder Than War's albums of the year. Also, good news, I just found out before I went on air. Who Took Utopia? We made a bunch of Who Took Utopia t-shirts to celebrate 5 years since the Gyro Babies album Who Took Utopia came out. So the t-shirts have now arrived. Apologies for the delay. The printer had to buy a new t-shirt printer, and there was a various other things that slowed up the process. But they're here. So if you've ordered one, it'll be getting sent out this week. And also we'll give away one in tonight's raffle as well. So we will be raffling a Gyro Babies Who Took Utopia t-shirt tonight. And the way that you join the raffle is by supporting the Patreon. So if you want to help the show, then become a patron at patreon.com/You Call That Radio. There's a PayPal link as well. But if you want to become a patron, you get into the raffle. We're doing a raffle every day in December that we're on. Tomorrow, we have the legendary Spawn Zero in the house. Wednesday, we've got the build-up to the big one, which featuring the final lineup of everyone that's going to be playing on Saturday's big gig. So if you don't know, Saturday night, well, Saturday all day, we're going to be doing live in real time a high audio visual experience. Just like a real gig, except no physical audience yet, because we're not allowed that. But we can stream live from Capture Works, and we've got a Bomb Scarer back by popular demand. There's some lineup, and the best is yet to come. We've got some big announcements on that. Maybe even tonight. We might even give you a wee announcement tonight. But Wednesday, we're going to be doing the big one. We're going to announce the final lineup, and we're going to be speaking to some of the special guests as we get the hype going for Wednesday. Thursday, we have the pub quiz, the festive pub quiz. Friday's the reaction show, and then, of course, Saturday, this one. Can't wait, man. It's going to be a busy month. The daft days are truly upon us. Now, let's give a round of applause to the brilliant Dead Sheeran.
You Call That Radio.
Fucking radio. Here to tell people that we hear you. One God will not allow.
You Call That Radio.
However you want to see it.
You Call That Radio.
You call that radio?
However you want to say it, that's kind of part of the fun.
Powered by our patrons.
Brothers and sisters.
We are indeed powered by our patrons. Thanks to everyone who's been supporting us this year, and everyone who helped us get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube this week. We're nearly 1,000 on Twitter as well. It's time to go live to Dead Sheeran. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate that.
Thank you very much for doing it. Would you rather be called Paul or Dead or Mr. Sheeran?
I'm not sure being called Dead is fucking helpful. Do you know what I mean? Call me Paul, if that's all right, buddy. Yeah, Paul, that's my name.
Fine, man. But you've been really busy this year, man, tunes wise.
Wow.
Number 3, Louder Than War gave you number 3.
Has got some benefits, do you know?
And number 3 album of the year for A National Disgrace. Tell us about what's the background? Where did Dead Sheeran come from?
Right, well, Dead Sheeran it was just something that I was knocking together. I'm always, I've been doing music for a long time, bands and whatever, and I just needed to I attempted this a few years ago, but the beats were a bit crap, so it didn't quite work out. So I tried again in lockdown, and it just started to come together. But it was literally going to be 4 tracks on my Bandcamp page, and that was it. You know, I wasn't going to do anything overly special with it. And then because we had time on our hands, so I did a video for the Fonz, and then I noticed that lots of people were liking it. And then a friend of mine said, "Look, I'll help you put it out on vinyl if you want to." And yeah, so I went from there really. And then because once I'd finished the first record, I was ready to. I still had some more tunes, and by the time of that, I got to start writing A National Disgrace. I kind of found my sound a little bit, you know, and so that came together, and I'm pleased. And the Louder the More number 3 place, yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Because bearing in mind my background's all hardcore and metal, so you know that was always kind of my scene, and I've been around a long time, and I'm always quite, you know, if I put anything out, people go, "Oh yeah, man," you know, like that or whatever. But this is a completely put me into a bit of a different category than what I've been in the past. So to get some plaudits in the scene that I'm not familiar with, and that, then yeah, I'm happy with that one. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I did listen to one of your other bands, and it's like you said, it's a totally different. It's a removed world from what you're doing just now. What was it? What was it? So you said it was a few years ago. You were starting to do it. Were you just working with a software, just making beats and
yeah,
stuff like
absolutely,
that?
man. Everything that I've done is just you know, it's all software. But you know, because I've been recording at home for a long time. But most of my stuff, like sort of stuff under my own name, that Nut Bands has been like avant-garde, kind of orchestral stuff, or like some jazz grindcore where I'm smashing loads of blast beats and stuff. But like to get like a decent kind of hip hop beat, or you know, that kind of vibe, or a good punk rock beat, I just when I was messing about with the software, it just sounded shit. You know what I mean? It was just like bum tech bum tech. I was like, oh, that's good, but you know, I've spent like a few years honing some programming skills, and some of the drums on National Disgrace are played as well, you know. And then I just tidy it all up. I'm a better kind of editor than I am a player, if you know what I mean.
What software is it you're using?
I'm a Cubase guy. On the first record, I had like a free bass plugin, and I had to, just when it came to the mix, and I had a few problems. So what I did as soon as I finished that first one, what I did then was I bought some decent bass software, because I can't play a fucking bass. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's only got, I just can't play it. But I do know bass lines, you know. So everything is on a keyboard, and occasionally played on a MIDI drum kit. So. But the piano and the strings, everything is played, you know. I sometimes use loops, and then I mess about with them for the drums, because that's what they're there for. And I think maybe one or two are probably straight out of the box, but sounds good. You know what I mean? So thanks very much. You have a program that one.
Yeah, man. I think that there's some really interesting stuff for A National Disgrace, looks wise, and it's just kind of where you're not really sure where it's going to go. And I think what would you think would be a good starting point to sort of share with you call that radio audience? We can say put a video on YouTube. What do you think would be a good starting point?
But the most recent video, fly tipping, is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, fly tipping is a good start. Yeah, I like that.
And what about the videos? Is that
that's
DIY
just me
as well?
Everything is just me. I did it on my phone. All of those videos are done on my phone, and a cracked version of some video software. So I've just kind of taught myself. I used to do football vlogs, yeah. So I kind of just got a gist of cutting and pasting and cutting things together. So I just tried it with these videos, man. I'm not fucking Steven Spielberg. You know what I mean?
It feels, yeah, man. It feels like this year has been the same for myself. Just like a constant sort of learning a new software it seems like there's been a new software every month having to do it.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's been good though. It's really handy to just learn that, you know, how to do all these things yourself that you maybe just have got someone else to do. So it's good from that point of view. Although I'm hoping now that we can stop with the new softwares. I want to settle with what I've got and just start getting better at the things I've got, because it is quite frustrating, you know yourself, when you start a new thing, but it can be quite exciting once you've learned the basics, because like, you know, even today I made a wee tiny little video clip for what's coming up this week, And
Yeah.
it just only took me a few, like, you know, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. They might have taken me 45 minutes to 3 hours to just think about and agonize over.
Oh, mate, but you know, you can have too much. You can have too much to think about sometimes. I'm keeping my setup. I'm not adding to it for a while. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's just stick with what we've got and get better at the tools that we have. This is a fly tipping.
Fly tipping.
Keep Britain untidy is now the war cry of the public. Because Boris says within 3 days it looks like a fucking bomb's hit it. The public bombs are all padlocked, took a shit behind the local church. Just as things were getting better, mate, now they're 10 times fucking worse, I tell ya. The dirty mattress, an old settee, push bikes, and an Anchor TV. Garden waste, stop clothes in a sack, claw mags in a duffel bag. If you're taking country walks these days, it's easier to stop and rest. Because behind the trees there's a 3-piece suite and a bed with a broken leg, and they're dumping faded porno mags because they closed down all the skips. I'd say the place looks like a pigsty, but that's an insult to a fucking pig. The dirty mattress, an old settee, push bikes, and an Anchor TV. Garden waste, stop clothes in a sack, claw mags in a duffel bag. The dirty mattress, an old settee, kids' books from the 70s. A broken seat and an old road map, a dirty switch and a dead Tom kid down. Oi, pick your shit up after yourself, you lazy bastard. Oi, pick your shit up after yourself, you lazy bastard. Let me tell you something, if you're heading to the beach this year, wear boots, not fucking sandals, because there's broken bones and ice cream cones and shit inside the sandcastles. The fish will eat cheese sandwiches and the crabs choke on the crisps. I just want to feel safe between my toes, not someone else's piss. Oh, that's dirty mattress, an old settee, push bikes and an Anchor TV. Garden waste, stop clothes in a sack, claw mags in a duffel bag. The dirty mattress, an old settee, kids' books from the 70s. A broken seat and an old road map, a sleeping bag and an old dead trap. Fly tipping, hey, fly tipping, hey, fly tipping, fly tipping, hey, fly tipping, fly tipping. Pick your shit up after yourself, you lazy bastards. Fly tipping, fly tipping, oh, your skull's out.
I got you. Ready?
Yeah, he's
1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yo, this is Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5 live and direct here in Glasgow, Scotland, and you call that radio?
Upon you, we are here to tell the people that we hear you. One God will not allow us as people of conscience to lose our morale. We see the crimes of this government, how they support every dictator and criminal on this earth. Sometimes you can feel down. Sometimes
Brilliant stuff. Fly tipping, taken from.
Yeah, man, good song. Good video. I'm pleased with that. It's surprising what you can do in a bedroom. Simply taking down a picture and then going out the woods for a walk.
Oh, it's the thing about lighting in it. It's that just looks like so you're saying that you're doing that with your phone, so you're just getting sorting the light in it, and you're getting these good results.
It's a very professional setup, I'll have you know, right? It's literally like a picture taken down off my bedroom wall, and then my phone balanced on a music stand, balanced on the bed, and that's just the light coming through the window. There's no, and then just me prancing about.
That's great. It looks brilliant.
You know, and simply just making it look black and white. So the new video is pretty much what I did, but that is all black and white. And then the next video that I've just started hasn't got me in it at all. It's a bit darker, a bit of a darker video, you know. There's you know, some stuff underneath the kind of satire, man. It's serious stuff, you know. So it's time for a serious video.
Yeah, and what's the process like when you're writing a song? Like, obviously, you're doing all the writing, the beats. Are you making a beat and then putting the lyrics on top of that? Then,
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm a bit of a bit of a binge recorder. I kind of like do it in the holidays, in the school holidays and that. And so what I tend to do is I'm always on my phone, just ping, 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 ideas just bouncing around, or like a line, or something like that. And then and then all of a sudden, like a verse will just come to me or something, and I'll write it in my phone, and then when I get upstairs, then I'll start getting some beats together, or a bass line. So either beats or a bass line, start it, and then I go to my book of words then, and go, yeah, that works, and then I'll develop it, and then then I'll do a rough sketch over the top of it, and then I'll start adding some piano, or if it needs it, or whatever, or the video game effect, or any of that, and then I'll just go for it. The first one, the self-titled one, I did like from scratch in like 2 weeks, including mixing it. But with National Disgrace, I wanted it to still sound raw, but I wanted it to be, a bit more thought behind it as well. So, and then I'll make sure every word is right, and that's the joy of having like a little studio, isn't it? I can take my time. The old days of having to go in the studio and get it right or not get it right and live with it are long gone. I don't want to put anything in. I don't want to listen back to it and go, shit, I wish I'd done that word again, or change that word or something. So I like to make sure.
The struggle is real for that, man. I mean, I've just literally got a setup recently to record from home, so I'm quite excited by it as well. But I've just been so busy that I'm not really. I've just been managing to record demos, so it's in the balance whether I'm going to become a perfectionist who just has to get it just right, or I'll still be the guy that goes, that'll do. Because I think that when I do listen back to certain takes I've done, I can hear those mistakes that I just let fly because you just want to get on with the recording. You don't want to waste anyone's time or waste your own time. Because time is money. Either you're paying over the odds for a recording setup, or someone's doing you a mate's rate favour. So you don't want to, annoy them by just changing every little wee thing as well. So I wonder if that is going to be the case. Will I be like that? Will I be like, I'm going to just do that until I get it perfect? Or will I just be like, you know what, that'll do. Maybe once a lazy bastard, always a lazy bastard. We'll find out.
Well, do you know what? You can piss about too much as well. I've got mates, right, I've gone to their house and they've played me like this amazing stuff, but like a year later, they're still pissing about with it, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be a line. You've got to draw a line on things. And
absolutely, man.
I want it to be good, but if say. I mean, music, because it's all computer on a computer, it's straightforward. But with the vocals and that, and it's the same with any kind of music thing that I've done. If it feels right, then it's right. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be note perfect. It's got to be, it's got to sound right. It's got to feel right, rather than it be, pitch perfect or something like that. I don't give a shit about that.
A quote that turns up a lot in this show is a song's never finished, only abandoned. So you've got to abandon it at some point.
You can always improve anything,
Yeah, you've got these, but then there is a point where you've improved too much. You've been working on something for too much that it's lost all its soul, or it's lost its edge and its rawness. And I think you've managed to get a nice balance between keeping it raw as the first one, but also improving on it and doing some more interesting things. And what genre would you call this? Does this even have a genre, or? Would you like to give it a label?
I have no idea. I mean, to me, it leans nearer to punk, but then does it or not? I don't know. If I could play a guitar, it would have guitar on it, and then it would be nearer to kind of punk, which is kind of what is in my blood. But as far I don't know. Whatever kind of genre, whatever people say it is. Do you know what? I don't know. Dead Sheeran call. That'll do. I'll take that. Sheeran call. That's a nice name.
Has there been any situations where you've had Ed Sheeran fans appearing, maybe because they've pressed the wrong button, or maybe just
I think some kids at school found it that way. But I know a mate of mine who works for who goes around doing all the festivals and that. He works with Dead Sheeran's road crew, and they all bought a Dead Sheeran t-shirt each. So hopefully he will get to see it.
Yeah, well, it sounds
screaming.
like it will, definitely, if his crew's wearing them. And I'm sure he'd find the funny side that what was it? What was the thinking behind the name?
What, the name?
Yeah.
Literally about like 5 seconds. It's just like it was just something I had on my phone, and I think originally it was going to be like an electronic noise project, with like this fucking flashing eyes but so I just a lot of stuff is out under my own name, and I wanted to I didn't want to put this out under my own name, because it's bloody offensive, and secondly, just something else, and I just needed a name, and I thought, oh yeah, that'll do. Like I said earlier, this was literally going to be 4 songs just to get it out of the system, but I'm kind of enjoying this at the moment. I feel like I'm all right at this in this genre at the moment, but it's not to say that I might come up here tomorrow night or something and do a completely different sounding project again. But at the moment, I'm halfway through another Dead Sheeran record, so I'll keep motivated on that one.
Well, that's great stuff. You might as well just stick to it while you're on a roll. Shouts
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Petra's in the house. Hello, Petra. Hello, Mark, as well. Hope he's well. Yeah, man.
Hello,
So I'm
guys.
going to play the things are better than the 80s. There's something really cool about this, and it's something I've wrote once before. Tried to do a song that's kind of sort of nostalgic, because you get it loads in hip hop, and I love it when it's done well and it actually takes you back to that moment. And
Well,
also,
yeah, this
you also
song,
talk
the
about the
lyrics-
things weren't better in the 80s and stuff like that. Just for people that don't know, just a wee bit of an introduction to that.
Yeah. Well, the initial lyrics for this started probably, when did I get married? About 4 or 5 years ago, right? So I went to Canada with my wife and did like this meditation retreat, okay? And you weren't meant to have like pens and paper in there, but I was like, fuck this, you know what I mean? I'm not sitting around this bad enough, not talking to anyone, let alone doing anything. And I wrote loads of lyrics, and I started writing that song then. And I've always had this piece of paper in my studio, waiting for the opportunity to put this thing about the 80s. I think the chorus was the very last part of it, but my best mate here in Ross, we always just fucking chat about the old days, man, and how good and what it was like. And they were good, and things like the 5-star interview, and like the teachers at school at the time, and that. So everything in the song is a true story or a true reflection. And I'm still a big fan of Grange Hill. It's only like last year I picked up like a Grange Hill annual up at the car boot sale, man, which is fucking brilliant. There's like a Pogo Patterson poster in there, and that it's brilliant. But I did see then, like a while ago, someone was discussing the song and said, yeah, but were they always good in the 80s? And that's what made me do like the alternative version on the new record then. Because actually, if you think about it, I mean, I'm not sure, I'm probably older than you are, but, we used to fucking sit around talking about what would happen when the bomb went off, that was like an everyday conversation. I mean, you can't explain that to people now, but we'd be sat there with a bottle of cider and up the fucking woods and going, if there's a 4-minute warning in a minute, what's gonna be the last thing you ever do? You don't expect it to, do you know? But that's the conversations you used to have. So it's nice to look back. But were things better in the 80s? I think they were probably the same. We had an absolute lunatic running the country then, the same as we do now. So things were about the same in the 80s. Might be the next version. Things were about the same in the 80s.
Things were about the same when you wait up. Some better things, some worse things. But just for maybe the younger viewers out there, 5-star. I'm just going to play that little clip just now. So this is 5-star for anyone who doesn't know. It's not a bottle of cider. It's not a brand of cider. This is.
Okay, Elliot, what's your question?
I'd like to ask 5-star. Fucking crap! The fucking.
I'm sure Tammy would have made a lot more.
So if you just missed that, I said, my question for 5-star is, why are you so fucking crap? So 5-star appeared on this song. So this was a big moment on the 80s, a watershed moment, perhaps.
Hilarious, man! It's always hilarious.
We've got Martin Ray. Shouts to Martin. Even guys,
appreciate that, buddy.
Loving the album, Paul. Highly recommend it to all. Shouts to Martin, a great supporter of the music scene. Lindsay Stewart, I'm old enough to remember the 4-minute warning convos.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right there.
I don't remember that. I mean, I was about in the 80s, but just, probably wasn't in my.
Probably a bit of a nipper.
Bit too young, a wee bit too young for that.
Wee Ben.
I do remember going live though. I remember going live.
Yeah, man.
Bart McInnes remembers 5 Star.
Yeah.
And yeah, a big moment. And it's great to
It was
watch
a big
back.
moment,
It never gets old. So we're going to see. Let us know in the comments what else that you remember from this tune. And this was Things Were Better in the 80s.
Reminisce about those 80s school days with the Granger-led masters waving canes and dodgy teachers, all body odor and no brains. We just cared about our choppers, skate-electric and Orby trains, panini stickers from the local shops, and then we'd scour the playgrounds looking for swats. Got any swats, mate? Then plaster the bogs with the ones we didn't want, potting fags off our friends and then sharing the dog. Say the dog, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. We were kings of the world with our Betamax and putting soap in our hair and then listening to Crass and Garbage Pail Kids and Cherry knocking your granddad, carving our names in every desk that we sat at, playing football outside until it got really dark, and then reading Joy of Sex because the pictures made us laugh, hanging around the arcade playing Spaces and Pac-Man, taking the piss out of the local tramp. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s. Swap shop what is was. 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 Drawing anarchy signs on everything that we walk past. Smashed up the Blue Peter Garden for a laugh. Watching Cheggers Place Pop and Magnum and Chips. And someone calling up 5 Star and calling them shit. Ha! Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s, mate. Things will never be the same again. Things were better in the 80s. Come round here, mate. I got Space Invaders on Atari. Cool. Did you watch the young ones last night? Nah, my mum was watching Blankety Blank. Alright. Can I borrow your Culture Club album? Yeah, as long as I can borrow your Kajagoogoo one after, just so I can tape it. Things will never be the same again. 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 I want to help you, Roland. I want to help you, Roland.
Brothers and sisters.
Is that you, Daniel? Are you before me?
You call that radio?
Hello, yes, this is Dog.
I should call that radio TV. We're live with Dead Sheeran. And we're reminiscing.
It's the first time I've seen that video for a while. Yeah, it's all right, isn't it? It's a good video. And yeah, I mean, it's the first time I've seen it for some time. I didn't even realise that there's a bit of Kung Fu Master in there. Video game. So yeah, it's cool. Has
there been anything? Always happens when you do something like that. Has there been anything from the 80s that you went, shit, I should have added that?
Oh, mate, fucking yeah, stacks. I had a whole catalogue of stuff, TV stuff, and but you know, I kind of covered the things that were really appealing to me at the time, you know. But so I'm going to do this picture disc with things were better on one side, things weren't better on the other. And I've got this artist guy called Russell Taysom, who's a bit of a crazy artist. He's done the art for it, and there's things like the young ones and stuff like that on there on this picture disc, and that was a big part of growing up, that kind of stuff in the 80s. But that's my mate Pug at the end of the video, and that's his Panini football album. And we occasionally flash back that, usually to look at some of the Scottish footballer pictures, because there's always like the background's always like fucking really stormy, and they all had massive hair in the 80s as well, didn't they? Burnian and teams like that, you know, St Mirren. So yeah,
St Mirren, yeah.
Yeah, man. They were a good team, but they had some fucking shocking hairdos. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, it was the 80s, wasn't it? If I can't really say anything. I've been waiting in tier 3 to get a haircut. So,
oh mate, yeah. Maybe I'll get maintenance this year.
Well, I kind of grew it all the way through lockdown. I had my lockdown logs, and I was just going to keep it going until we got our freedom back. But I was just like, it got too long, and I ended up getting done for a music video, and then I had to do another thing where I was supposed to be a background artist, an extra.
Oh yeah.
They were like, no, you need to that doesn't work, because obviously they hired a guy with short hair who was probably a little bit lighter as well, probably a bit thinner in the face. But they got a fat guy with long hair, so they kind of chopped at it as well, and now it's off to fuck.
Stunt
double, indeed. Yeah, man, I'm going. But yeah, with the Panini stickers, I mean, I was obsessed with stickers when I was a lad as well, and there was always the same ones that would recycle. Is that the con in it? Is that what they do?
Yeah, man.
You hold back maybe
like, the Wolves or something like that, you know. Always, like, because then you go.
For example, Celtic and Rangers badges. The Celtic and Rangers badges would be big currency back in the day.
Absolutely, man. Currency. Yeah, man. You're giving me flashbacks here of, you know, spending me dinner money on the stickers on the way to school, opening them just to find, I don't know, an Everton defender or somebody like that in there. Oh God, I've already got 5 of these hanging around for swaps. Sticking them on, you know, absolutely plastering the bogs, because, you know, we're still talking the days of having the cistern above the pan. Do you know what I mean? So they used to be covered, and it'd be even worse if you saw one that you needed up on the fucking bog. Do you know what I mean? Oh, for fuck's sake, man, not about that. Yeah, man. I think it still goes on as well. The Panini scam.
Scam. The Panini scandal.
Yeah,
because there was obviously the Celtic and Rangers badges would be the big ones, but I do think that it was also part of the scandal was they would have some sort of unknown squad player that nobody ever had as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I think I end up complete, because me and Pug, we both had that Panini 81, but he's kept his. And I remember sending off to get all the ones because I just got fed up waiting. Do you know what I mean? And then it was the end of the season. I got into something else by then. By about 82, I was into punk rock, not football then. So, yeah.
I think I completed Euro 96. But I think that may have coincided with the time that I'd also went through a shoplifting phase, allegedly. But that's cheating. That shit doesn't count. Doesn't count for anything. Cheating. If you cheated, it doesn't count. We've got Mark McKinnon saying that took me back, Paul.
Yeah, man, that was it. When I was making it, man, it was a buzz. It was a buzz. You know what I mean? Just flashing back, and that's what YouTube's great for. That's what me and him do. We go and find a bunch of 80s adverts or a bunch of 80s videos, and that it's literally now 80s on the telly, on Sky, and that. But then, you know, like watching Protect and Survive and all that stuff. Man, the 80s was a funny old decade to grow up in. And musically, it was, at the time, I can remember, oh God, fucking Human League and all this. But then now I'm like, man, these bands are fucking brilliant. Do you know what I mean? But at the time, they weren't like punk rock, so I wasn't interested. But, you know, musically, everything was a little bit more, it was a bit crazier then, to be fair. Everyone was weird. I liked it.
Yeah, man, I think so. I think that a lot of stuff like that it's ages well. I think time's always a strange thing. Some things get a lot better with age. And, you know, like I'd say from my side of view, probably if I'm comparing times, it was probably when, you know, Britpop and stuff like that for me. And I always find it quite interesting when I'm listening back to bands, because I was right into my, you know, reading my NME, trying to find those underground bands that you know, and stuff. And there's bands that were really good that I got into that never really went anywhere. They sound great now. And then there's bands that I really loved back then that, you know, it was just boring indie shite. Do you know what I mean? You don't really know the times. I think also as well, I think between the ages of 14 and 18, you're just the music, certain music will just hit you in a certain way, and that'll stay with you forever.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Totally
was it punk? So punk rock for you? That was your thing. What was the main bands? What was the main bands?
Well, for me, it kind of started off. Well, it started off with Adam and the Ants about 81 or something like that, 80 or something like that. And I was pretty young then. But then, because I was always into like the B-sides, I got into like the B-sides of records, and of course the Ants B-sides were always like their early punk stuff, and I was like, oh, I fucking love this. And then I got into the Banshees from there, and then I got into the Pistols and the Damned and everyone. So I kind of went through that 70s punk phase, and then a mate of mine gave me this Crass single, Nagasaki Nightmare / Big A Little A, and he was like, oh, so my brother's a shit. And I was like, okay, I'll have it. And I put Nagasaki Nightmare on. I was like, that sounds a bit weird. And then I put the other side on, Big A Little A, and it was like literally the best thing I'd ever heard. I mean, as a kid, you know, anything with a bit of bad language is always good, but I was like, just the song, you know, the song itself. And then I just had to go and buy all these Crass records with me pocket money, and then I got into the Subhuman. So that whole kind of anarcho punk scene. And then when I was old enough, then I was quite involved in it. Sort of 86, when I was old enough to get on a coach myself and go up to Birmingham for gigs, like to see, you know, literally the first lineup of Napalm Death on a weekly basis. And you know, so
you're name dropping some cool bands. I mean, was that everything you've mentioned is cool. Is there anything is there anything out there that you're not quite as happy to admit there's any sort of guilty pleasures, or just stuff that you're like, what was that? What was I thinking? You know what was I thinking?
Yeah, musical phases. Well, do you know what? No, I mean, some. You know, I'm a fan of fucking ABBA. Do you know what I mean? You know, I'm not gonna. You know, I don't think I'm going to do any kind of ABBA type music, but
ABBA's considered cool in Glasgow because they mention Glasgow in one of their songs.
Yeah, Super Trooper.
We kind of use that as a, you know, there's a meme going a bit just now that says Edinburgh. Does anyone for Edinburgh remember when they got a shout out for ABBA? No, then shut it. Then
never happened. Big up Glasgow, big up Glasgow. They got fucking big spotlights there, according to ABBA, and that's what counts. Nah, not really, man. You know, I think that, you know, the last few days in the car, it's been like Slayer, the new Mr. Bungle album, The Streets, Beach Boys, and then you know, tomorrow I've literally just burned a disc off. I just watched that new Bee Gees documentary last night, and I was like, oh fucking, I forgot how much I like the Bee Gees, or certain parts of it. So I've got a nice CD to start blasting of them in there. No, I don't have any guilty pleasures anymore. I think maybe ABBA and Queen and that were ones that I kind of concealed during my punk.
You're right in the midst of the punk scene. You would.
Yeah, I wasn't going to. You know, I liked my conflict jacket and, you know, jumping around to anti-sex. I wasn't going to go, you know, play gimme 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 or something like that. You know, that wasn't going to happen. So yeah, I've always had that, but now I wear my ABBA badge with pride. You know.
Wear your ABBA badge with pride. That's got to be a future Dead Sheeran lyric, I think.
I just thought the same thing.
ABBA badge has got. There's definitely something that can be done with ABBA badge as well. It just sounds like a great phrase, ABBA badge. Right says, the young ones, that changed TV comedy forever for me. The young ones is. Once again, I was a little bit young for that the first time round, but I remember when watching it back in UK Gold and stuff like that, and it was just hilarious. It didn't get old. It never got old.
No, timeless. Absolute fucking stupidity. But you know, I was at school at the time, and so that, you know, I think it was on a Monday night or something like that. And you knew that the next morning at school, it's all everyone was talking about. George Young was last night. Oh, we did this, and people would be like talking about it, doing their Vivian impressions and that. Such. I'm like yourself, man. I every time it's on UK Gold, I think, oh, I've only seen this 1,000 times. I'll watch it again and still sit there laughing. Love it. And great music. They used to have great music on there as well. They always had the cool bands.
So what is the pros and cons of that? So because obviously there was, when we were at the behest of the mainstream media, we had to. There was those moments where we, as a community, as a culture, we all got together. There's what the water cooler moments, even people at work talking about stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, everybody's now sort of doing their own little thing. So on the plus side, you've got all this amazing niches doing very well because people are connecting all around the world. So a little niche can be really big all around the world when you add everything together. So what's the good sides and the bad sides of this change?
This situation we're in at the minute?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say, because, and it's hard to know what the hell's going on, because, like you say, everyone's kind of like in their own little bubbles. Maybe people are being a little bit more respectful of each other, respectful of each other's space. There is the kind of more sort of internet-based socialness. But, the main point that bothers me is that we don't actually know what's going on, because we're getting such a distorted bloody view of things. You watch one news program, it'll say something. Watch another news program, it'll say something else. The downside is that we're all pretty ignorant to what's going on at the moment, because we're just being fed bollocks. The positive side is that eventually more and more people are beginning to see this, and maybe people are getting wise.
It seems to be that everybody's now, I think, aware that you don't believe everything that you hear on mainstream media. But now,
don't believe any of it.
Now with the rise of COVID, people are using it as an example of, because the mainstream media says that it's a virus, people say that proves that there isn't a virus. So do you think that it's gone a bit far that way?
I mean, it's out there, and it's not, and it's fucking wiping people out. But I just worry that governments, and not just here, everywhere, are using it as a flexing their muscles too much. We've got to take some responsibility ourselves. And I think we're having that responsibility taken away from us, because most human beings can fucking act civilized. Do you know what I mean? Pandemic or no pandemic, and, if people know, you can walk it. Fuck me, you can walk the streets. Everyone's just like out of the way. We look after each other. We don't need to be told. People, people's life savings and businesses and that going down the pan. In places where it's not such a big issue, but funny enough, in the city, I know they changed it a little bit today, haven't they?
I think that what they've done today is, my understanding is that the capital of London is allowed to remain open, so that the shopping can remain open, but the other parts of London, which I'm assuming, I don't know, I haven't looked properly into, but I'm assuming it'll be the more deprived areas they'll be locking down, and that just seems to be that seems to be where a lot of anger comes at the hypocrisy of, there was parts of the north getting shut down when they were having a similar results as parts of London that weren't shut down.
This is what I mean, it's just, I do think in some ways it's being used to control rather than contain a virus. It's being more to contain people themselves, why? I don't know. I don't trust this government's motives for 1 second. I'm certainly not a COVID denier or anything like that. It's fucking there. My wife's working with COVID patients.
What actually
we're just getting fucking sick of being locked up and being told what to do. And if there's a positive to come out of that, it's eventually we will stand up. People will stand up for themselves. I genuinely hope so, because we're having the piss taken out of us, especially here in England.
I've got a video made that you did about COVID masks and social distancing. Yeah. It's called "Keep Your Distance," so we'll play that.
Tune.
Just put the fucking thing on, you twat. It's our rocket science. sense. I'm already missing lockdown. It's a shame it had to end with all these people fucking dying. It's meant to be back again. We got so fucking stupid, we're just waiting around for some clueless fucking guidance from these useless fucking clowns. Oh, stop complaining. Put on your fucking mask, you damn twat. They get away from me. Oh, stop complaining. Put on your fucking mask, you damn twat. They get away from me. The Brexiteers are outraged at the thought of wearing masks because the thought of helping other people is just too much to ask. I can't fucking breathe and it's uncomfortable to wear. Just wait until you spend some time in intensive care. Oh, stop complaining. Put on your fucking mask, you daft twat. Then get away from me. I stop complaining. Put on your fucking mask, you daft twat. Then get away from me. This ain't called operation. Just remove that funny part. The days are fucking flying by and I'm counting down like 4, 3, 2, 1. Wiping my snot on the inside of my sleeve. The only thing that's making sense these days is Cold War Steve. And it's all got a bit weird. Cause it's all got a bit weird. Oh, stop complaining. Put on your fucking mask, you daft twat. Then get away from me. I stop complaining. Put on your fucking mask, you daft twat. Then get away from me. Stop your fucking whinging. It's a piece of fucking cloth. It's hardly a fucking aqualung, so stop your mouthing off. The state the country's in is hard to know what to believe. The only thing that's making sense these days is Cold War Steve. Don't complain to me when you can't breathe. Oi! Don't complain to me when you can't breathe. Just put the fucking thing on, you selfish bastard. Don't complain to me when you can't breathe. Cheers, thanks a lot. Thanks. Yeah, see ya.
Brothers and sisters, may the peace that can only come from the one God be upon you. We are here to tell the people that we hear you. One God will not allow us as people of conscience to lose our morale.
Powered by our patrons. This is You Call That Radio TV. We're live with Dead Sheeran just now. Just give a wee shout out to Kath, Louise, Mo, Tam, Andrew, Martin, Colin, Susan and Bombscare for signing up to our Patreon this month. We need one more to break a record. We're at a record. We've got 186 patrons, which is incredible. We've been there once before, but then we went back down again. So we're nailed. The Holy Grail's 200. That's what we've been trying to get to. So we're getting there.
You get there. Be patient.
Patience. I mean, that's the thing in it, because
we've got to be.
Got to be patient. And absolutely,
it's going to be spring, man. Before it'll probably be the start of the summer before we get any kind of resemblance of normality back. You know, depends.
Well, we had Captain Barrett from Boomtown on Friday, and he seemed to be really optimistic about Boomtown Festival next year in August, which is just good to hear. It was just good to hear, and I think that what they're hopeful for is there's going to be faster and more accurate testing. So it's going to be rather than, because people were worried that there's going to be a vaccine, but people are scared of vaccines, all that, but more of a negative testing thing. So let people get negative tested before they're allowed into the arena, basically. And seems like that is going to be the future of festivals. If you want to go to a festival, you're going to need to pass that test. And that sounds fair enough, man. Just whatever to get it back on, because I mean, for the last, 15 years, every year I've went to at least one festival. In the last 10 years, it's been many festivals every year, whether you're playing or just going as a punter. And it was really hard this year just to have that suddenly taken away.
Oh, mate, absolutely. I had some tickets for some good gigs this year, and also I've not toured as a musician for a few years, and I thought, well, you know what? And now I'm fucking ready to go and do some gigs, and there's no gigs. So, which is the typical, you know. So by the time gigs are back on, I'll probably have just lost interest and so I'll stay at home.
Well, it's actually puts you in quite an interesting position whereby you're actually building your fan base, and you've yet to play one gig. So it might be put together a wee string of gigs, and it might be quite a successful.
That's the plan, you know. When I know it's, you know, people will take that chance on some gigs and that, try and blag a couple of support. A few people have said, "Oh, you know, come and support so and so and that," and I'll probably do that. Yeah, you know, that's fine. It's just going to be me and a laptop, you know. I can't be asked putting a band together. I can't be dealing with bloody other musicians. I've spent most of my life in the back of a van with a bunch of dudes. You know what I mean? Fuck that. Just driving my car with a laptop. I can switch. At least I can switch it off. You know what I mean? I ain't got to listen to like a guy talk from anyone else. I'm too old for that. So yeah, it'd be nice to get, if I can get back out there. You know, that has been a big positive actually, is the fact that I've just been able to do this. I've never really exploited social media like I have with this as much, and it's been quite a bit of a learning curve, really.
Yeah, man. I think that the name Dead Sheeran is good for social media because it's just instantly makes you go, "What's that?" You know, what is that? I'll need to check it out. So you've got man. I suppose that we're going back to the patience thing. I think people will be patient for the winter because, you know, for example, a lockdown in January. Fuck's sake, people lock down in January anyway. You know, there's nothing in Glasgow anyway. There's nothing. People are sick of the cold weather. They don't really do much. Maybe people start jogging or they go to the gym for a couple of weeks, take out an annual membership, do it for 2 weeks and then never go back. So I can think. So I think January. I think everyone's all right with just not doing it in January. But then once the spring starts, then outdoor gigs at least are going to come back, or there is going to be a major problem because I think that even the most patient people are just like, fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Fuck's sake. But did you get any pushback from people because with that song, you know, you're saying wear your fucking mask, you know what I mean, and you know, quite no fucking about wear your fucking mask language. Do you not get people calling you a sheeple? You're not a sheeple because...
Do I have any shit from any of those guys?
Yeah.
Nah. Not that I've seen. But you know what? Listen, you know, I don't like wearing one. I don't fucking like wearing one. It's annoying, but you know, we got to take care of people. We got to take care of ourselves and that. So it's a necessity at the moment. So it was... that song's it's a few months old now. So if you remember when it's probably the same buffoons that are out fucking protesting for the strongest form of Brexit or something like that now, you know, that they don't like being told what to do, but then, you know, the irony of it is like half of them are the ones that have been crippled with fucking COVID-19. So, you know, you reap what you sow. But I've not had any crap for it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just saying it straight down the line, isn't it? Just wearing a fucking mask, you know.
Is there a correlation down south? It's hard to kind of get a feel of that up in Scotland, but is there a correlation between people that were pro-Brexit and anti-mask?
Absolutely. You know, from the last kind of information I had, I've stopped watching the news now to avoid these kind of subjects now. But you know, it tends to be that kind of right wing element. You know, not just, you know, I know people that voted for Brexit and that. You know, they're not fucking fascists or Nazis. They're just been misinformed.
Well, there was a massive media. It was a massive media campaign that said absolute nonsense all the way through it, and I suppose you also had the fact that Corbyn wasn't a massive fan of the EU either, and I think what a lot of people, maybe it was even left people that were voting Remain the Lexit kind of people or whatever, but they were kind of voting for a Corbyn Brexit, not a Tory Brexit, which is obviously a completely different thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, we spent 4 years fretting about this. Do you know what? The country's already on its knees, right? Just let it fucking die, and then we'll grow again somehow. But you know what? Even like whatever no deal Brexit or whatever they come up with, even for some of these twats like Farage and that, it won't be Brexit enough. And you know these right wingers or you know the whoever the Energy Research Group, because you know unless England, you know, literally levitates off the face of the planet and goes into space, they might finally be happy then. And even then, they'll be going, oh, well, the gravity of Europe is keeping us attached. Do you know what I mean? They want to fucking isolate this country from everybody else. And they're doing a good job of that at the moment. And it's us, the likes of us that suffer for it, you know?
Well, that's it. I mean, when you're in this world where it's like, if Brexit goes bad, then they just blame it on the EU for not doing the Brexit right. So it can never be, you know, it's not like anyone's ever going to say, oh, I admit Brexit was a bad idea. Well, some people actually have, to be fair, that maybe it wasn't a great idea. I just don't seem to have yet to hear a positive yet.
No, that's it. And
I can't include the blue passports. I'm sorry. Blue passports doesn't really do it for me. And also it's German companies or Dutch companies as well that are getting the money for that as well, which kind of ruins the sort of the British allure of blue passports as well when it's not made in Britain either, which I know that's what the whole point is here.
And it is, and it's like a line on that first reg on it. It says, "Stop free movement," says the woman who's never left her street. And that's the problem. You know, I know plenty of people here that voted for it on the fact that, you know, oh, we don't want people wandering around, but they've never actually been anywhere outside of the towns that they live in. So that, you know, whereas some people that have travelled around and that and have understood the benefits of being able to roam. I don't recall anyone sort of saying, oh, you know, stop immigration. But while we're stopping immigration, let's stop all our friends and family and everyone else going abroad to work or study and develop life experiences. And that's what's happened. You know,
it's that kind of ignorance that people in Britain just sort of tend to think that when they talk about immigration, it's always other people coming in here. We're expats and we're given a totally different name. And it's just sort of this, we're not immigrant. We're why are people moving from Britain to warm countries to better themselves? And I've never really understood the difference between, you know, why do you think that's different?
You know, and also people come here for survival. You know, people are coming here to survive. You know, we're meant to be fellow human beings. You know, that's what I don't get. But unfortunately, we're in a culture at the moment, and that's why it is quite similar to the 80s. We're in that kind of, you know, that kind of xenophobia that we did have then. But you know, it won't be forever. No, it won't be forever. The tide will turn eventually. But fuck. You know, the worst thing is now we're going to be marooned as an island because I can guarantee you, right, if we do, and then Scotland decides to do the decent thing and become independent, I'll be one of the first applying for a fucking visa to come and live in the Highlands. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't want to live in this shithole England, man. It's a fucking disgrace at the moment. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. You've got and then
I'd rather have Sturgeon telling me what to do than fucking Boris Johnson.
We've got the situation where we've got potentially an independent Scotland, a united Ireland. I mean, if this happened, then what would happen? What would be next?
Who knows, mate? Part of me says, right, you think 2020 was bad. 2021 is going to be an even bigger kick in the bollocks for us here in particular. Because, you know, it's whatever Brexit we end up with is going to be a bloody disaster. And what will happen then is Johnson will just disappear again, and someone else will be picking up the pieces. Someone, you know, because Conservatives are.
Well, I think
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think what you said earlier is you can't trust anything that they're saying. But to me, it just looks like quite a simple get in power, giving all your mates a cut of the deal, and then fucking off. He doesn't care about being remembered as a great prime minister or anything like that. He just wants to take the money and go. Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to see. I think definitely by May he's gone.
Yeah,
sorry to use the word May.
Fucking morons, you know what I mean? Oh God, stop, man, because otherwise I'll. You have to talk about Boris Johnson now, right? And literally, man, I that's why I can't watch the news. I said to my wife, I don't want the fucking news on anymore, right? Because I see his face, right? I want to punch it. He came to Hereford a while ago, like on one of these flying visits to the hospital. If I'd have known he was coming to Hereford, right, I would literally have been. I'd have gone there. I'd have the minimum. I'd have chucked a fucking egg at him, but preferably a right hand. I'd have thrown. I can't fucking stand the man. Even talking about him bloody infuriates me because he's such a twat.
So Hereford, that's where you're in Hereford.
Well, I live like outside of Hereford. I live in Ross-on-Wye, sunny Ross-on-Wye.
So that's kind of like near Wales. Wales.
Yeah, man, it's 10 miles off the border. So
it's what's the general feeling with Wales and Brexit and stuff like that? Are they that area is
well?
Everybody just kind of
their rules are different, because obviously we're still following English rules in Ross. Wales was locked down for a while because I had to drive over to Bristol, and I thought, I'll go through Wales, and I felt like a bloody fugitive, man. Do you know what I mean? There's like no cars on the road, and every time I saw a car in my mirror, I was like, fucking hell, it's cops. Do you know what I mean? I thought I'm gonna get done here, trespassing in another country. But yeah, it was But again, I think that they're chucking it. It's not,
There's a Welsh independence movement as well now, though.
Yeah, man, they're putting the lockdowns in tough. They're trying they're trying to do what they can. I mean, I'm not anti-lockdown, but at least with the Scots and with the Welsh, it's a lockdown. Not here, fucking England. It was like, stay in unless you want to go out, and then that's okay, Or if you're a key worker, which involves like literally every fucking job you could do, and especially lockdown 2, what the fuck?
It's simple. If you need to close down businesses because there's a killer virus and everyone's going to die because of it, then you need to support the businesses that you're shutting down because it's not their fault. And if you don't support people, then of course there's going to be bad results. So
absolutely,
we've just got to, and it's like right now we've just got a lot of fears about the music industry. How's everyone going to, what's going to happen? What's going to be left?
It's down on its ass, man. Do you know what I mean? And we're worried about fishing and stuff like that, but the arts industry brings in so much money and they don't give a shit.
Somebody said that the computer game store apparently makes 4 times the amount. There's that game, is it Game? The computer store?
Yeah.
4 times the amount that fishing does in the UK. But just the idea of it, when you speak to a fisherman about this, an actual fisherman, not the Daily Mail guy talking about fishing, they will say that the problem is the big corporate fishing people. The big boats that come in and steal all the fish, but they're not necessarily European. They could be British. They could be the Tories' best pals. They're the problem. And I seen another good meme. It says, why is it that when a fish crosses our border, it's our fish, but when people, it's not? It's not.
Yeah, I mean, what they're gonna. Well, I don't know what they're planning on doing. Whether they're planning on like putting like a Union Jack flag on fish as a from when they're spawn or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck me. A fish going to need passports to cross this imaginary line.
Well, we've got the Navy, the gunships are out there protecting the fish. So
it's fucking ludicrous. You know what I mean? And again, it goes right back to the early conversation. You don't know what to believe. Do you know what I mean? Is this just like the Mail and the Express just talking bollocks, or and Boris Johnson just chats shit? Do you know what I mean? He just talks rubbish. Surely we're not going to go to war with our fucking long-term allies over cod. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous, man. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
When World War III is going to break out over like a fucking tuna or it's ridiculous, man.
I think, well, I'm going to sort of stay in the positive path, but I think Boris and his cronies have bet against the pound falling in January the 1st. So they're going to get their money, fuck off, and then hopefully we can start to repair it.
Exactly.
Things will get a bit more normal.
Destroy everything completely, and let's rebuild with somebody else. I mean, Labour will fuck it up. They're guaranteed. But whoever's in charge will. But these guys are nasty, and it's sinister. They're sinister. And that's the problem I have. I bloody hate the Tories. Always have hated the Tories, but they're usually useless. Like Theresa May and David Cameron. But this lot, you know, Rob and Patel and Johnson.
Well, they're not even Tories. I mean, that's not.
No,
That
they're not
seems to be
even
something
fucking
else.
human.
Because
They're not even
conservatism's
human.
a political belief system that I don't buy into, but it is a system nonetheless. While what you've got now is something else. You've got something that's so bad that, you know, Ken Clark's like, I don't want anything to do with this. You know what I mean? He's like, they're all abandoning. A lot of them are just abandoning ship because they don't want their name attached to this.
No, exactly. You know, and that's when it all goes pear shaped. The Tories that are just trying to keep their job will speak out. I mean, who knows? It could bring about the end of the Conservative Party. It should bring the end of Parliament. Really, we need. You know, they're still talking in like 400-year-old language. You know, the whole system needs shutting down and restarting. Man, we got these fucking people. Never has so few people been responsible for the suffering of so many. You know what I mean? Not in peacetime, at least. You know what I mean? And not in this country. Fuck these guys. You know, fuck them.
Fuck him indeed. Martin says they use fishing to appeal to the gammon because they sell as our waters are being invaded. That shit appeals to the Tory voting Daily Mail reader. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And I think the worrying is as well. It's not even just the Tory voting Daily Mail reader that's reading that. It's the people that are walking by the newsstand every day seeing these ridiculous headlines that are just usually false or scaremongering at best. We've got Lindsay Stewart says a pal of mine is a vicar in, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Wydore. Yeah, man, that's a few miles up the road. Yeah, a vicar, bloody hell. But yeah, man. In fact, many years ago, I played a gig on the back of a truck there in the Wydore.
Big ups to the Wydore, massive. Tam
man,
the Van.
The posse were there. It was all kicking off.
Tam saying Pens in the Van. I don't know what that was in reference. That was a wee bit further back. The Colette saying quote, the 70s was her era. Only cunt with central heating and breakfast ready brick.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Red glow. That was a big deal, man. Yeah, you knew. I'm still a big Ready Breck fan. You know, we're coming into Ready Breck season, so I'll be the fucking guy with the orange.
You'll be stockpiling. We'll see you on the news. Stockpiling with the Ready Breck coming out.
Strangely glowing orange man leaves Ross on White, assassinates Boris Johnson.
Colette saying bra guest, and Mark, I got chased by a sheep last night, so I heard Jake at Fasterian. I jock babes. So I heard Jake at a Fasterian. So you won. So you're all right. So you're not a sheeple. You're a leader or an enemy of the sheeple. Perhaps you could put it down.
Well, you know, I just want to fucking, you know, I'm just sick of people fucking lying down, man, and told what to do. You know, I'm not a politician. Somebody said, you know, I haven't got the answers. I don't even know what the fucking questions are. Nobody even knows what we're doing anymore. You know, we're just living day to day, waiting for the next fucking disaster to happen, the next disastrous headline, the next, you know, headline on the news to tell us that things are getting worse. They can't get any bloody worse, surely. Well, unless we all fucking get, unless, you know, Ebola becomes the new COVID, then we're fucked.
Let's end on a positive note, though. So, what's going right? What could go well? What could be good in 2021?
Well, until we see what the results of this fucking Brexit are, I don't know. You know, 2021, we might get a new Ed Sheeran record. That'll be positive, and I'll probably have lots to say about it. Positives, do you know what, mate? It's hard to know, isn't it? Hopefully, you know, this vaccine business will quell the tide, you know, a little bit. You'd like to think so. At first, I was like, fuck that. Not because I'm an anti-vaxxer, but because I just want to make sure that if I have it, in 2 weeks' time, I don't want a fucking head like a space opera, right? I just want to know that I'm not going to get those kind of side effects. But from what I can gather and what they're saying in the medical industry, it's all right. And once people start having these vaccines, maybe we can get out and about. Do you know what? What could be positive is one day, right? we could be going to watch, like say, going to watch a festival of our favourite bands and not thinking about this. You know, we've got to keep looking in the future like that. Fuck, I want to be able to go to a football match with fucking my friends, jumping around, having a laugh. I want to play a gig, and you know, I don't want people fucking sat 6 foot away from each other watching a Dead Sheeran gig. I mean, I want a fucking mosh pit going on. Do you know what I mean? We've got to think positive like that.
Well, I think that's maybe something to think about. Is that the odds are now in our favour that these things will be back. Gigs will be back maybe, and things could get a bit normality. And I think that there's going to be so little bits of things that we took for granted a year ago. We'll be delighted to get back.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, do you know what though? There has been some positives to this this year, and I think as human beings, it gave us a chance. That especially the first lockdown. I mean, it was nice because the sun. But the sun was out in England. In Scotland, that probably meant you had about like 10 minutes of sunlight or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah, man, careful, you get burned. And you know, and it gave a lot of people a chance to think, you know what, we haven't got to be 100% fucking stimulated all the time, and I certainly know that's how I've always spent my life. And that, just like, I've always got to be doing something, right? But then actually, some days, because the schools were closed, so I wasn't at work and that, and it was just like, you know what, it's all right to fucking take your foot off the pedal now and again and relax and appreciate the people around you as well. You know, like my folks are old and that, and I've probably never been closer to my folks than I have in that lockdown, because I was obviously looking out for them. Do you know what I mean? There is that, you know, but people use the time, you know, like we were saying earlier, we were learning softwares and things like that, but some people learning languages and learning how to do this and learning how to do that, just being kind. And when we were watching that video, especially the 80s video, that was right in the thick of lockdown, I filmed that, and I was just thinking, I remember filming it all around Ross in different parts. I never saw a fucking soul, not a person. Do you know what I mean? Which otherwise I'd have been stood outside my school, you know. Why else would I be stood outside my school filming myself on a phone if there's loads of people around, you know? It gave, you know, birds were back. People started taking a bit more notice of birds and squirrels and stuff like that. It sounds like a bit shit, but I don't know. To me, that was important. That was a positive of the lockdown. People did start. I mean, I didn't buy all this clapping and all this bollocks like that because I knew that was just the government trying to talk bollocks. But people did look out for each other a little bit more, and people respected it. You know, you go for a walk, and strangers are just sort of just be all right, check in. You know, you keeping safe. You know, yeah, man, I am. Thank you. Yeah, and not we should. And it just shows that actually, do you know what? When we're not all wrapped up in our own bollocks, as human beings, man, we can be quite fucking civilized and decent. And
cunts can be all right. Cunts can be all right.
Absolutely, man.
Don't argue on the internet with a stranger, because that's not going to end well. It's not going to end well.
Absolutely.
You don't need it. What I'm going to do just now is I'm going to play. I had the phones lined up unless you want to play one more, because I'm going to need to just play. Basically, we've got a raffle on. So every day in December, we're doing a raffle. So today's raffle is this Who Took Utopia Gyro Babies t-shirt, which I'm just going to give to one of our patrons just now. Now, if it's an early number, then let me just see. Random number generator. So we've got 186 patrons. So 186. Can you see that? Okay. Can you see that?
Me?
Yeah. Can you see the number?
Fucking glasses on, man. Jesus Christ.
Oh no, it's quite small.
Yeah.
Okay, so 78 is the winner, right? Okay, that's too much for me to count. So I need to, because basically the way it was, that's 76. The 76th last person to sign up to Patreon has won this t-shirt. And also shouts, if anyone's ordered one of these t-shirts anyway, you've got it coming this week. They were a bit late, so sorry for the delay. So I'm going to count who is number 76. The Fawns, is that good with you, or is there another song that you'd like me to play?
No, man, whatever. Play another song.
Just because you mentioned the Fawns, I just think that
that's fine, man.
Well, let's go for the Fawns, and we're going to come back. We'll wrap things up. If anyone's got any questions for Paul, now's the time to ask them. This is from the phones. And I'll be back in a minute to tell you who won the t-shirt.
Yeah, really looking forward to your podcast later, mate. Like I've got nothing better to do than listen to you talk about yourself for 20 minutes, you cunt. See, that's the problem with this lockdown business. Everyone's a fucking media star. Webcam interviews, bookcases. Listen, having a selection of hardbacks you've never read doesn't make you look intelligent, you pretentious bastard. You just look like a cunt. Don't tell me to fucking sit on it. Who do you think I am? The Fonz? Don't tell me to fucking sit on it. Who do you think I am? The Fonz? The Fonz? The Fonz? I had a letter from the government the other day. I threw it in the bin, recycling, doing me bit, you know, like when I drive to work and back every day. Hit me 4 by fucking 4. Hopkins gets banged in the fields. Got a face that looks like it can bang repeatedly with a fucking spade. Cheerful racism on Twitter. Listen, you might like her, mate, but I'll tell you, you're wrong. Let's lift the lockdown early. Hands up for an early grave. Listen, the death rate's still rising, you thick cunt. Hands up for an early grave. Don't tell me to fucking sit on it. Who do you think I am? The Fonz? Hey, don't tell me to fucking sit on it. Who do you think I am? The Fonz? Is this the cabinet or Manson family? Is this the cabinet or Manson family? Selfish bastards with enough toilet rolls to wipe 1,000 arseholes on their 7th week of eating pasta. The kids are obese, mother's had an heart attack, and they're fighting over the hand sanitizer, thinking it's gonna save them from this disease, the fucking toy disease. Feds on push bikes, cycling proficiency badge wankers, breaking up picnics, Ivan's jackets and masks. Try nicking the real criminals in this country, the ones in fucking charge. Don't tell me to fucking sit on it. Who do you think I am? The Fonz? Don't tell me to fucking sit on it. Who do you think I am? The Fonz? Hey, don't tell me to fucking sit on it. Who do you think I am? The Fonz? Hey, don't tell me to fucking sit on it. Who do you think I am? The Fonz? The Fonz? I gotta sort this lockdown lid. I look like Leo Sayer. I gotta sort this lockdown lid, kid. I look like Leo Sayer. I look like Leo Sayer.
You call that radio?
Call that radio.
What about the people who hated on me?
Right, and then I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in a minute.
That's mad, isn't it?
Is this a Netflix thing?
It's actually a podcast.
What the fuck's a podcast?
You know, it's kind of like a radio show.
Oh, that! Radio!
Yeah.
Just popped in there. And is there a way we can do something like that?
I couldn't help it.
By injection inside or
Yeah, I think so because I think just painting in general because I think like my poems in my painting.
No, cut. And the winner is Claire Bratchford.
Well done, Claire.
Congratulations, Claire.
Look all right, don't
Will we round of applause for Claire? Yes, Claire, send me the size, and I think there should be one size of each left after it. I got the order in and I got one of each. So there might even be a couple more to give away later on in the month. But well done, Claire. And yeah, man, I'm glad we played the phones because that was one of the first ones that I think it was maybe the first song I heard. And
Yeah,
straight away it starts with your fucking podcast, you fucking prick, doing your lockdown podcast. And I was like, that's me. And it was very relatable.
You know what, the you know, in the underground has been brilliant, but I just every fucking morning I used to get up and put the news on and that, and there'd be some twat on the news, and they'd be just sat there on their fucking laptop webcam, and it'd be the same bookcases and all that, and I was, oh my god, and it was becoming like a book convention competition, you know.
Yeah, man.
What's his name? And all that. It's just
we nearly had that. There's actually over there is like a bookcase.
Mate, you've turned.
Just about we haven't. And I've moved around the room 3 times, and not once have I managed to make it. It's not really a bookcase; it's more like a hole with shelves in it.
Yeah,
but there is books on it, you know,
and
maybe a couple of packets of skins and that. But that should have been. There's another bookcase as well, and the plan was we're going to do a special where I had the bookcase here. We maybe still will, but you know, it involves heavy lifting, and that's something that I do my best to avoid.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just keep you know, like a good playing background or something else. Just mate. But the Fonz itself, though, it's got some. I was just, you know, just listening to that because the video is down at the moment. Okay, for the Fonz, because.
Why is that? Yeah, because I was looking if I couldn't see it.
I was getting some grief over some obscenity, and so it'll return. And also, I didn't rush to put it back on. Truth being, because I also wanted to. I wanted people to listen to the fucking news stuff, you know what I mean? And people go, "Oh yeah, I like the Fonz because you say cunt a lot in it," and you know, and that's great, and that was the whole point. It was just to be really attentive.
Your music though, why are they singling out that one tune?
Fuck knows. But, you know, then they started riddling it with adverts, and by the time I got that sorted out, I'd kind of lost faith, and the new record was out, and everyone's still watching the Fonz, and I just thought, you know what, I don't want to give people the option yet to watch it, because you can listen to those YouTube, you know, when the digital distribution puts those Dead Sheeran topic stuff up. That's nothing to do with me. I don't know. It's just that whatever they do with it when they license it to Spotify and all that. But you know, that's why the video's down, because I want people to just look at the newer stuff a little bit more as well. I mean, it's still as offensive. There's just so many bad language. Perhaps I don't drop the C-bomb as much. But you know,
it's just quite bad that people actually, you know, even waste their time with you when you're quite obviously a sweary man. Your music's sweary.
I'm sweary. I'm sure there's worse stuff on there, but yeah, I don't know. But you know, it only takes some twat to fucking report you. Do you know what I mean? And then you know, and then YouTube must employ fucking millions, thousands of people at least, just to go around harassing people. You know, and it's happening more and more. People are being pulled up on what they say. You know, so. Not a conspiracy guy and that, but you never know. But you know what? It might even be fucking Ed Sheeran. Maybe he's the cunt that complained. So who knows?
Ed Sheeran's fault. It's all
fucking Ed.
It's all fucking Ed Sheeran.
The crime has been solved. Ed's behind it. So, but it will be back. But it's a good song. Feds on push bikes, cycling proficiency badge wankers. Probably the finest lyric I've ever written. It makes me laugh. Literally, it just makes me laugh every time.
ABBA badges.
That's on the next album, man. I guarantee you. I've written that down on my phone. So ABBA badge. I'll certainly get a mention of an ABBA badge in there.
Someone will have an ABBA badge. Playing your ABBA badge. So if people, you just said there that you've got, you're on the Spotify, you're on YouTube. You're also on Bandcamp though, and that's the best way for people.
That's the best way to get me stuff, man. Do you know, Bandcamp, we did the honourable thing this year to help musicians out. I know they're not doing it anymore, but they cut. They donated their cut once a month and that to help artists out, and that's all right. But Bandcamp, you know, it's going direct to me. Also, you know, I've got a good distro for the vinyl, at least, you know, either with me or through Rough Trade. You know, Rough Trade distro for the vinyl. So you know, and they're a good. Yeah, man, good independent dealer, you know. So
I need Need to drop it.
The name drop.
You call that radio?
Yeah, no, that's cool. You've got to have a name drop for Rough Trade. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fucking hell, they shifted the last one, and you know, and then I had that when they I don't know if you know about it, but the One show on BBC One. Then they interviewed Jamie Cullum in a Rough Trade shop, and in full glorious Technicolor behind him is my fucking album cover. So you know, like on my phone's going nuts for these notifications, and my mates put a still, and there's Jamie Cullum talking about, I don't know, you know, some bollocks, and then in the background is me with a mask on sticking the V's up. Fucking big up Rough Trade for that, you know. Free advertising, you can't get better at, you know, peak time BBC One. Thank you very much.
Did you ever think that you would end up on the One show at the start of lockdown?
Me, it was hilarious, you know what I mean? It was just a good bit, a stroke of luck, really. And I had my mate, I didn't even know my mate was watching it, but otherwise I would never have known. I've never watched this garbage, man. But,
that's great. Thanks for letting me know. But mate, why were you watching the One show anyway?
Who, me?
No, I'm saying, did you not say that to your friend?
Yeah,
that's really nice to let me know. That's great news.
Yeah. You know, what the fuck? Because like, he listens to noisier stuff than I do. You know what I mean? Fuck that.
Well, I recommend everyone check it out. A National Disgrace out now on Spotify and stuff like that. Hopefully, we'll see you live next year. Give us a shout if you're going.
Man, absolutely. And like I say, a lot of love for Glasgow, man. I spent a lot of time up there. I miss those Glaswegian days immensely.
The
Cat House, man. Where else? Is it the 13th note?
13th note, yeah.
Yeah, and where else was there? I know I played like the Academy and that there. The Rat Trap years ago. That was my first Glasgow gig, I believe. A place called the Rat Trap. And Nice and Sleazy's.
Nice and Sleazy's, yeah.
Oh, mate, great venues, great days. Big shout out to the Coexist guys up there and that, you know. I had some fucking mental times. I was still drinking then. I had some crazy fucking times, you know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely Glasgow has got to be on the tour agenda for 2021. Who knows, man? You may be a completely independent country by then. Or, you know, if I can get through security on the border, I'll be there. Who knows? I'm
sure you'll get through, man.
Good, man.
Dead Sheeran, welcome. Hope to see you in an independent Scotland in 2021.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for tonight. I loved it. You know, so
great really to chat, man. All the best. Thank you very much. We'll be back tomorrow night with Spawn Zero, who is absolutely smashing it. Congratulations to Claire Bratchford for winning the t-shirt. So she's got the Utopia t-shirt. And we're going to end with a wee song from Spawn Zero, who's going to be on the show tomorrow night. Absolute legend, representing Livingston to the fullest.
You know I'm sick of the lies. You know I'm wasting my time. You know I run from the lies. You know I'm sick of the lies. You know I hate the fight. But
Run from the lights. I be doing too much. I'm sick of the lies. I don't know who to trust, never know who to trust. Do what you want, but don't waste my time. It's taking too long, I'm not getting any younger. You know me, I hate to fight. Ask anyone that knows me, I've always been a lover. Like damn, where the mums at? Better get some bud, where's the butt fast? I'm not even out my nut, but it's been so good, cause I'm coming up and up and never done fat. Swan, you're a good cunt. You're funny, but wouldn't say you're a good drunk. I know that you think you're cool, but you will go far unless you're poor and you push drugs. Who are you believing in the most? Too many gone now, I've been losing hope. That's why I always look like I just seen a ghost. I can't get no sleep, I wish they'd just leave me alone. I don't listen to cat, that's the truth, damn shame. Used to be class acts and proof. It's fun to watch, lab rats and loose and going out tonight and putting his hand back to use. I kinda think I half-assed my youth musically. I know I don't have jack to prove, but I'm living so bad at keeping in contact with all of my fam and the troops. I said the same my last album, look, nothing has changed. I have that, I'm mute. Name me something that rap has and took. I'm too obsessed with cash tracks and hooks. Look where I'm at, I'm cash tracked and hooked. Shit my music and laugh at the Jews, but I wouldn't get used to it. Shout out everyone that took the piss, cause now I'm good.
You know I run from the lights. You know I'm sick of the lies. You know I'm wasting my time. You know I run from the lights. You know I'm sick of the lies. You know I hate the fight.
Never head from lakes. I've been out here picking face. I'm still out here sipping wine. Yeah, I've been living nice. If you see me sniffing lanes, bitch don't come up, babe. I'm so sick of all this shit. Just let me live my life. Never head from lakes. I've been out here picking face. I'm still out here sipping wine. Yeah, I've been living nice. If you see me sniffing lanes, bitch don't come up, babe. I'm so sick of all this shit. Just let me live my life.
You know I run from the lies. You know I'm sick of the lies. You know I'm wasting my time. You know I run from the lies. You know I'm sick of the lies. You know I hate the fight.
Brothers and sisters.
Is that you, Daniel? Are you before me?
Call that radio.
You call that radio.
Hello? 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 Yes, this is Dog.
Call that radio?